Rain poured relentlessly that night, blurring the city lights into a smear of gold and gray. The streets were quiet, save for the occasional swish of tires against the wet pavement. Eliza Hart, a nurse at a struggling community clinic, wrapped her threadbare coat tighter around her body as she hurried toward the bus stop. She had just finished a grueling double shift, her feet aching, her body drained. But her heart remained full, it always did, because nursing wasn't just a job for Eliza. It was a calling. As she approached the corner of Lexington and 12th, her eyes caught movement across the street, something small, fast, and then a screech. Her heart stopped. A boy, no older than 7, lay crumpled near the curb, his bicycle a twisted mess beside him. A luxury sedan had halted a few feet away. The driver, a man in a sleek suit, stumbled out, shouting into his phone. Without hesitation, Eliza ran. She knelt beside the child, her hand steady despite the tremor in her chest. Blood matted the boy's dark hair, and his breathing was shallow. "Call 911, she barked at the stunned driver. He nodded, fumbling with his phone. Eliza tore open her tote bag, pulling out the few medical supplies she always carried. She cleaned a gash on the boy's forehead and kept him stable, murmuring soft reassurances, shielding him from the rain with her coat. Time seemed to suspend itself, the world narrowing down to just the boy and her. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics moved quickly, but not before one of them turned to her. "You probably saved his life." Eliza smiled wearily, brushing a wet strand of hair from her face. "Just did what anyone would. But not everyone would have. And certainly not with such grace." She never got the boy's name. Just watched as the ambulance doors closed, and the rain swallowed the red taillights into the night. The next morning, Eliza returned to the clinic, her shift beginning at sunrise. She thought about the boy, hoped he was okay. Life pressed on, patient charts, prescriptions, long lines of uninsured families. No time to dwell. Miles away, in a sterile, state-of-the-art hospital suite, Gabriel Moore held his son's hand and felt something he hadn't in years: fear. Billionaire CEO of a tech conglomerate, he was a man accustomed to control, to power. But none of that mattered when his only child was hooked up to monitors, unconscious. The doctor said his son would recover, thanks to the immediate care he received before the ambulance arrived. A nurse had helped him. A woman whose name wasn't even left behind. Gabriel became obsessed with finding her. Not out of obligation, but because of something the paramedics told him. She didn't hesitate. She didn't ask for anything. She just helped. Weeks passed. Gabriel pulled every string, used every contact. Finally, a traffic camera showed her face. A face that stayed with him, earnest, kind, unforgettable. He found her at the clinic one rainy afternoon, just like the night she saved his son. Eliza didn't recognize him at first, not in his tailored coat and polished shoes. "I believe you saved my son's life," he said simply. Eliza blinked. "That little boy, he's okay." "He is. Because of you." He stepped closer. "I've been trying to find you ever since. I wanted to say thank you." "You don't need to," she replied, her voice quiet. "I was just doing what anyone would," he finished, a smile tugging at his lips. She nodded. Gabriel visited again. And again. Under the pretense of donating to the clinic, which he did, generously, but also to talk. To listen. To understand the woman whose warmth had cracked something open in him. Eliza, wary at first, began to open up too. She learned about his grief, a wife lost to cancer, his struggle to connect with a world that only saw his wealth. And Gabriel learned about her, the childhood spent in foster homes, the dream of becoming a doctor she had shelved to care for her sick aunt, her relentless faith in humanity despite everything. They grew close. Not in grand gestures, but in quiet moments. Coffee shared between shifts. Walks through city parks. Long talks about life's what-ifs. One evening, Gabriel invited her to dinner, not at a five-star restaurant, but at a small diner she mentioned loving as a child. Over pie and coffee, he took her hand. "Eliza," he said softly, "you saved more than my son that night. You reminded me what it means to care without expecting anything in return. I think I've been waiting my whole life to meet someone like you." Tears welled in her eyes, but she smiled. "I think I've been waiting too." Their love didn't blossom overnight. It grew slowly, like a flower in spring, nurtured by shared values and hard-won trust. And when Gabriel proposed, not with a grand spectacle, but beneath a tree in the park where they first laughed together, she said yes. They married a year later, in a modest ceremony surrounded by friends, patients, and staff from the clinic, now fully funded and flourishing. Eliza never gave up her work. And Gabriel never stopped admiring her humility. Together, they built more than a life, they built hope. For others, for themselves. Because sometimes, in the darkest rain, a light appears, in the form of a poor nurse who kneels beside a broken boy. And in that moment of compassion, a new story begins. A story of healing. Of love. And of the power of one selfless act to change everything. And maybe that's the real wealth, a heart brave enough to care, no matter who's watching. Here's your complete short story, crafted with emotion and inspiration, and ideal for a 20 to 25-minute narration. Let me know if you'd like a voiceover version or need it adjusted for another format.